Hi folks, Bombastic here, back with another binge watch session. So, I got my Toku toy on, which means we're going back to Tokusatsu. And since Kamen Rider Zio is still airing, by the way, fuck Kamen Rider Zio, that obviously means that we are going to be taking a look at... Yep, more specifically, since we've already covered Strongest Battle, well, obviously the only thing left to cover is the 43rd Super Sentai season, Kishiryu Sentai Ryusoulger. By the way, speaking of both Ryusoulger and toys, either before this video goes up or afterwards, I will probably be ordering the Ryusoul Changer and doing an unboxing video of that, so look forward to that as well. But for now, it's time to see if fourth time's the charm in terms of Dino Sentai, as we take a look at the first 5 episodes of Kishiryu Sentai Ryusoulger. Episode 1 starts with a passing the torch ceremony, with 3 masters, one of whom should look familiar if you watch Psycho Battle, naming their students as the new Ryusoulgers. The students, named Ko, Melto, dumb name, and Asuna, take to their roles immediately, and promise to make their masters proud. Hard cut to a monster cloaked in shadow rampaging through the mountains at night. Looks like they'll have their chance sooner rather than later. The next day, a woman named Ui is pretending to film her YouTube channel inside the Amazon rainforest, but in reality, she's inside Japan's suicide forest. They straight up made a Logan Paul joke. This Sentai does not fuck around. Anyway, Ko pops up and asks what she's doing, but before she can answer, he gets pulled away and scolded by Master Red, who reminds him not to talk to outsiders and focus on their mission to defeat the Minosaurs. The two are cut off by a nearby explosion and Ui's cries for help, and they spring into action. We cut back to Ui running away from some monsters when she suddenly slips and falls, allowing both the foot soldiers and the main monster, which looks like a sentient mushroom, to catch up to her. Before the mushroom monster can attack her, all the monsters are destroyed by Ko and Master Red, who have both morphed into Red Rangers. Cue opening! I really enjoy this theme. It's got a nice epic feel to it, and the visuals are really, really cool. After the opening, we get a really nice fight scene, with both Reds beating the tar out of the foot soldiers before Ko uses a brand new toy! I mean Ryusoul. Specifically, he uses the Tsuyo Soul to overpower the Moks before using his own Red Soul to finish them off with an epic triangle slash. After the fight, the mushroom monster from before, named Kurion, reports to his master, Lord Tankjo, and asks if he was just fighting the Ryusoulgers. Lord Tankjo confirms their identities and states that the temple must be nearby. We then come back to Ui, who receives a phone call from her uncle asking where she is, since they still have to film in Egypt and the Amazon. Unfortunately, there's nowhere nearby that will pass for Egypt, so he suggests doing the Amazon filming today. She agrees and says she'll head for the filming location by bike instead of bus. He tells her that she'll be late for dinner that way, but she's already hung up. We then jump over to the temple, where the Grand Elder bemoans the return of the Druidon, the monsters from before, and gives us our mythos for this season. During the time of the dinosaurs, the Druidon and the Ryusoulgers fought for control of Earth, but when the extinction event happened and wiped out the dinosaurs, the Druidon fled the planet and swore to return, while the Ryusoulgers adapted and used the spirits of the fallen dinosaurs to create the greatest weapon in the form of the Kishiryu, our Zords for this season. Now the Druidon have returned, and are looking to steal the power of the Kishiryu for themselves, but the new Ryusoulgers won't let that happen. That night, Ko and Melto spar, while Asuna worries about whether or not they can live up to their duty as Ryusoulgers. Ko is confident that by combining his leadership skills, Melto's precision with a sword, and Asuna's brute strength, they can overcome anything. Asuna takes offense to the last remark and pushes Ko directly into a mountain DBZ style. As Ko recovers, he unintentionally finds Yui hiding nearby. Yui quickly tries to win their favor with bananas, but is stopped short by the arrival of the Grand Elder, who demands to know where she came from and how she found their village. Before she can answer, he tells Ko to escort her out of the village and erase her memories at dawn. The next day, we find out exactly how he intends to erase her memories. With a fucking sledgehammer! I did! This Sentai does not fuck around! Before Code can commit assault with a deadly weapon, we cut to the three masters wondering aloud if their choices and successors were correct. While Master Blue has his doubts, Master Red has full confidence in their abilities. The three are cut off by what feels like an earthquake, but is revealed to be caused by a giant dino monster rampaging near the temple. Ko jumps into the fray, morphs, and cuts the monster's ankle before reuniting with Melto, Asuna, and the three masters. Master Red confirms that it is indeed a Minosaur, and Master Pain says they will need to unlock the temple's power to defeat one of that size. Master Red and Ko order the Ryu soldiers to hold the line until they get back, and Melto and Asuna immediately take the fight to the Minosaur, using the Wait and Extend souls to subdue it. Before they have a chance to celebrate, they unwillingly demorph, which means someone snuck into the temple. This someone is revealed to be Lord Tankjo, who muscles his way in despite being pursued by Ko and Master Red. He and Kurion reach the center of the temple, but before they can obtain what they are looking for, Ko and Master Red catch up and start fighting Lord Tankjo. Unfortunately, he is the first boss of the series, and they're both unmorphed, so he easily wipes the floor with them. Before he can land the finishing blow, Master Red uses both his own body and the solid soul to shield Ko at the cost of his own life, dying in the arms of his successor. This is quickly followed up by Master Blue and Master Pink, pushing Melto and Asuna out of the way of the Minosaur's attack and being obliterated in the process. All three masters have died in front of the Ryu soldiers. Before Code can properly grieve, Lord Tankjo promises to reunite him with his master, and prepares to strike him down. However, just before the killing blow connects, both Ko's amulet and Master Red's body glow with power and send Lord Tankjo flying, which then leads to Master Red's body turning into a red soul. Ko morphs, powers up with a Suyo soul, and engages Lord Tankjo, fighting him to a standstill before the temple is attacked by the Minosaur. Lord Tankjo and Kurion retreat, but not before swearing that they will reclaim the earth in the name of the Druidon. Before the temple can come crashing down on Ko, the Ryu soldier symbol is revealed, and he is teleported away into a room that looks suspiciously like a Zord cockpit, wherein a voice says that their souls must be as one. Back outside the temple, the Minosaur readies another beam attack. But before it can fire, it gets interrupted by the appearance of this season's Megazord, Kishiryu 3 Knights. I love the design of its mech. It is arguably the sleekest design we've had in years, and it shows in the preceding fight scene, wherein it runs along the mountains and uses fast, effective strikes against the monster. And all of that is done with practical effects, even the finisher. That is cool. After the monster is destroyed, the Megazord disassembles back into the three Kishiryu that form it and teleports Ko to the quarry to regroup with Melto and Asuna. After a cheesy moment where Ko bumps heads with his CGI T-Rex sword, the Grand Elder appears and informs that, although the temple has been lost, they will still be able to use the power of the Ryu soldiers. He also informs them that two of their comrades, the Green and Black Rangers from Psycho Battle, left the village long ago, and if they hope to stand a chance against the Druidon, they must find them and work together. Ko promises that they will all defend the Earth, and we finally get a group transformation and roll call to end the episode. Cue ending theme! I will admit, it's not the best, but the dance makes up for it by being so damn adorable and cheesy. I love it. I also love this episode. A roller coaster of emotions doesn't even begin to describe it. The fighting is great, the characters are great, and although Ui is kind of grating, and it's all really, really good. And it's got a very good pace to it. My one gripe was with the Megazord fight. Yes, I do recognize that the T-Rex Zord will always be the primary source of the Megazord for Dino Sentai, but really, you had the Red Ranger pilot the completed Megazord and not just the T-Rex in its warrior mode? Come the fuck on! But aside from that one gripe, I still really love this episode. But can they continue the momentum that they've created? We shall find out in episode 2. Episode 2 starts after the opening, with Ko searching for something called Tiramido. When Asuna asks what the hell a Tiramido is, Ko explains that it's the name he gave his Kishiryu, the T-Rex Zord from before. The two argue until Melto shows up to get them back on track, as well as expand on the exposition from last episode regarding the eons-long rivalry between the Doridon and the Ryu soldiers, along with an explanation of how the Minosaurs are created and how to defeat them. Once the exposition is finished, Ui pops up out of nowhere, shocking our heroes. We then cut to a man jogging down a hill before being attacked by Kurion and used to create the monster of the week by dropping green slime down his throat. Ew! We jump over to everyone at Ui's house and Melto geeking the fuck out over the vast number of dinosaur fossils and ancient relics her and her dad, now Hisa, have accumulated. When Ko asks how they gained interest in the Kishiryu, now Hisa explains that he found the ruins of an ancient temple, similar to our hero's own home temple, during a paleontology excavation, and has been captivated ever since. When Melto asks for the ruins' location, now Hisa gives multiple possible locations, because nothing can ever be easy. After a jump cut to presumably the first search site, Melto hears something suspicious and uses an audio soul to amplify everyone's hearing and track down the source. This leads them to a fencing dojo, where the victim from before, named Mishima, is training to take down his rival, named Kaminaga, and become the #1 best fencer in Japan. Outside of the dojo, Ui finds Mishima and asks about his family. Mishima explains that he abandoned his family 2 years ago and swore only to return after he had become Japan's #1 fencer. This info dump gets interrupted when Ko pops up and asks if Mishima is a Ryu soldier.
Stupid! You're so stupid!
I am so goddamn tired of idiot Reds. Before he can get told off, the new Minosaur appears and attacks, forcing our heroes to morph into action. Because this monster is based around fencing and is facing off against a Sentai team that focuses on swordplay, we get a really well choreographed 3-on-1 sword fight. Unfortunately, it comes to an end when Ko tries to finish it off with a speed soul, but mistakenly uses a stank soul that incapacitates everyone.
You're an idiot.
Can we please stop putting fart jokes in Toku? Anyway, despite fucking it up, it still works, and Ko charges in to finish off the monster, but gets interrupted by Kurion and a troop of drum soldiers, the Muts of this season, who then attack our heroes. Ko fights his way past the Muts and attempts to, once again, charge forward recklessly, but gets stopped by the arrival of Tank Joe, who then escapes with Kurion and the Unicorn Minosaur. We then cut to Mishima at the hospital, growing weaker by the second due to the Minosaur draining his energy. Our heroes quickly realize that he'll die if they don't act fast, so they split up. Ko and Ui go search for Mishima's family, while Melto and Asuna follow the energy trail to the Unicorn Minosaur. Ko uses the Vision Soul to find the exact location of Mishima's family, and we then cut to him and Ui meeting with them. Mishima's wife says that even if he doesn't become Japan's #1 fencer, he'll still be the #1 dad to them. How nice. Unfortunately, this gets interrupted when Melto and Osuno find the Unicorn Minosaur, and it has grown giant size. Melto contacts Ko and urges him to find Tiramido. Oh, thankfully, Mishima's daughter has seen Tiramido and is able to locate them with the help of Ui and social media. Back at the fight, Asuna uses the Weight Soul to restrain the giant Minosaur, while Melto uses the Tsuyo Soul to strike the monster. This plan backfires, and Melto gets knocked, coincidentally, into the building where the national fencing competition is being held, and also where Kaminaga happens to be. We cut over to Ko and Ui finding Tiramido playing with a bunch of children. My patience with this series is wearing thin. Anyway, The unicorn Minosaur breaks free of his restraints and gets ready to cut the building down when finally, Tiramito to the rescue! Our resident T-Rex sword charges forward and briefly subdues the Minosaur with heavy gunfire, before the monster regains the upper hand and knocks Tiramito out. Our heroes, thinking on their feet, forego using the other Zords in favor of using more new toys! Specifically, Asuna uses the Strength Soul to beef herself up and throw Ko and Melto at the monster, which is followed by Melto using the Mobi Soul to force the monster's mouth shut, Ko using the Stank Soul again to incapacitate it, and then finally using the Tsuyo Soul to try and finish the monster off. Despite all that effort, it still doesn't work, and the Minosaur knocks all the Ryu soldiers back. Just when all hope seems lost, Tiramito gains its second win and jumps back into the fight. Jumping on this opportunity, Ko activates his Red Soul, which grows giant and joins with Tiramito to become Kishiryu, allowing the real fight to begin. What follows is one of the best choreographed mech fights I have seen in ages. The speed and mobility on display here is on the level of Ultraman, and we all know how much I love Ultraman fights, so that's a big plus. Kishiryu finishes off the monster, and we cut over to Mishima, having made a full recovery and being reunited with his family. We cut over to Ui, pleased with the events of the day, uploading videos to her channel when Kurion appears behind her. Dun dun dun! The last scene of the episode is the Green and Black Rangers sparring while a mysterious figure watches from afar, holding a gold object. This episode is very much a mixed bag. While I do love the fight scenes and the world building, unfortunately, it was bogged down by the insane amount of character stupidity, mostly coming from Ko, because apparently Japan still hasn't realized that idiot reds are not cool. Speaking of which, I am once again reminded of last episode where instead of having just the main Kishiryu fight the first monster, they decided to have Kishiryu 3 Knights fight it, and then switch over to Kishiryu fighting on its own against this monster, when really it should have been the other way around. We should have gotten the debut of Kishiryu in the first episode, and then get 3 Knights in the second episode. But that's a very small gripe in the grand scheme of things. However, the question remains, will this series get better, or will I have more gripes as we continue? Let's find out in Episode 3! Episode 3 starts with a brief recap of the mech fight from last time, ending with Kurion appearing behind Ui, ready to attack.
Run, bitch! Run!
After the opening, Tiramito leads our heroes to a cave, where he believes the other Kishiryu are hiding. Ko uses the Shrink Soul to turn Tiramito human-size, and together the four venture into the cave. After a short beat, they find the blue and pink Kishiryu. Asuna immediately bonds with her Zord, whom she names Ankyros, but Melto is rejected by his. Tiramito says, or rather his constant cries of "Tira!" are translated by Ko, that it's because Melto talked down to the Triceratops Zord. When Melto tries to argue that they were created by the Ryu soldiers, Tiramito says that's not an excuse. Seriously, bro, don't be a dick. CGI robot dinosaurs have feelings too! We then cut over to Ui, who is nearly catatonic after the events of the cold open, but regains a bit of life when she is alerted to a Minosaur attack. The Ryu soldiers arrive, morph, and face down the Gorgon Minosaur, with Ui filming from afar. After a pretty well-choreographed sword fight, the Gorgon Minosaur tricks Ko into looking right at the eyes on her chest, although thankfully they're not giant eye boobs, because that would be weird, and turns him into stone. Melto and Asuna try to continue the fight without looking, but are quickly overpowered. Just when all hope seems lost, someone uses a brand new toy! I mean the Shining Soul. When the light dissipates, the rescuers are revealed to be Ryu Soul Green and Ryu Soul Black. Before they have a chance to fight the Gorgon Minosaur, Kurion appears and sicks a troop of Drun soldiers on the two Johnny-come-latelys. While the two new Ryu soldiers face off against the Mooks, the Gorgon Minosaur attempts to take her leave. Melto tries to intercept her, but is stopped by the arrival of Tank Joe, who attacks him and Asuna. The two fight valiantly, but are eventually defeated, allowing the Druidon to escape. Green and Black demorph and question if our heroes are actual Ryu soldiers. Green twists the knife further by saying that they are way too weak to hold that title. Before the roasting session can continue, Ui collapses in front of the team, and the visible drainage of her life energy makes it clear to everyone that she is the Gordon Minosaur's host. We cut back to the Tatsui household, where Melto and Asuna are attempting to nurse Ui back to health, while Black uses the Mist Soul to depetrify Ko. Ko demorphs, and we learn the names of our two new Ryu soldiers, the brothers Toa and Banba.
The man you're looking for's name is Bamba. He's based in Japan. And with a switch, he can morph into a monster.
No, not him! Anyway, Koa is oblivious to the newcomer's superiority complex and thinks they'll all get along just fine, despite Toa openly insulting him and his comrades. Melto ignores this and attempts to strategize with Asuna, wondering aloud if they can find a weakness in the Minosaur's defenses. Bamba says the weakness is obvious, and then attempts to kill Ui. These guys do not fuck around. Thankfully, Ko interferes, but the two totally stand by their argument that killing her would save more lives than defeating the Minosaur at giant size. Melto almost agrees, but he is interrupted by Ko proclaiming that they'll defeat the Minosaurs without killing their hosts. That way all lives will be saved. Bamba and Toa leave, but not before reaffirming that, if the trio fails, they will not hesitate to do what is necessary. That night, Ui and now Hisa have a small bonding moment, which ends with Ui apologizing. For what, we don't know yet. The next morning, Asuna tries to find Ui, but she is completely vanished. Now Hisa says that she left on an unknown errand, causing Asuna to run off. In town, Ko and Melto find the Gordon Minosaur has grown to giant size and morphed to confront her. Meanwhile, Ui stands before a cliff face, preparing to jump off. Asuna intercepts her and reassures her that they'll defeat the Minosaur without the need for her sacrificing her life. She then runs off, leaving Ui behind, while Toa and Bamba approach from afar. Dun dun dun! Sorry. Back in town, the Gordon Minosaur has begun turning the populace into stone, but her rampage is interrupted by Ko and Tiramido, who form Kishiryu and go on the offensive. Unfortunately, they're also trying to literally fight blind, to no avail. Asuna summons Ankyros to assist and tries to get Melto to do the same, but he's still second-guessing the Triceratops sword after the earlier cave encounter. Asuna takes charge and summons the sword herself, which she calls Triken, and then back to the cliff face. Toa believes it's too late and prepares to strike Ui down, but is stopped by the arrival of the Kishiryu. They take the fight to the Minosaur, striking her down with their built-in weaponry. Ankyros uses her tail hammer, and Triken uses his sword horn. But the tables are quickly turned when the Minosaur activates her petrifying eyes, forcing the Zords to retreat. Melto gets an idea on how to deal with the eyes, but before he can execute the idea, he makes a plea to Triken, begging the Zord to recognize him as his partner so they can save everyone together. Triken seems to agree, and under Melto's guidance, the plan takes shape. Triken slashes a square hole in the ground. Ankyros smashes the hole to create rubble that flies into the air towards our heroes. Asuna uses the float soul to make the concrete shards light as a feather and push them towards the Gordon Minosaur. And finally, Melto uses the reverse soul to turn the rubble back into a slab of road, covering the Minosaur's chest eyes. With the main threat disposed of, our heroes are free to combine their Zords and form Kishiryu 3 Knights. Together, our main trio takes the fight to the Minosaur, and using the mech's ability to change configurations on the fly, they quickly overwhelm and defeat the monster, restoring Ui to full health. Ui has another touching moment with her dad, and the Ryu soldiers celebrate a job well done while musing on the day's events. We cut over to the brothers, who admit they underestimated our main trio. Bamba states that they cannot be left in the dust, and they must find their Kishiryu soon. The final scene of the episode, much like the start, is in a dark cave, where the two black and green Zords lay in wait for their masters. This episode was a lot better than the previous one. There was significantly less character stupidity, and I, for one, appreciate that, because if there's one thing I hate, it is stupid characters. The fighting is still really good. I really appreciate that. And the inclusion of two who new rangers that aren't immediately buddy-buddy with our main group is very welcoming. And I'm hoping we get to see more of this dynamic soon, and they don't just immediately say, "Hey, we're pals now," after like 1 or 2 episodes. Now, the question is, will my wish be granted, or will we wind up being disappointed? The only way to find out is to watch episode 4. Episode 4 starts with Toa and Banba walking through the forest and conversing about the events of the previous episode. More specifically, Toa expresses shock that the main trio chose to befriend their Kishiryu rather than tame them. Before the conversation can continue, Banba senses something following them and uses the Mobius Soul to yank it out of hiding, only for it to be revealed to be Ko, who has still not given up on trying to befriend the brothers.
You are so dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
They brush him off at first, but he gains their attention when he offers to help them find the Kishiryu. After a brief cutaway to the Tatsui household, it's revealed exactly how he'd be able to help him, with now he says temple map. Toa tries in vain to get the map from Ko, and after failing, suggests a contest to decide whether or not they will join the Ryu soldiers. After the opening, we see what this contest entails. The first event is a leaf-cutting contest.
I'm surrounded by idiots.
Toa wins, and the two head off to the next event. We then cut to the city, where the Kraken Minosaur is attacking the populace. Melto and Asuna show up, morph in action, and charge the monster. We then cut to the second contest event, a game of rock, paper, scissors.
All of you people, you're all idiots.
Before this tomfoolery can continue, Ko receives word of the Minosaur attack. Toa takes this as a chance to turn it into a new contest, where the first one to beat the monster wins. He then cheats like a little bastard by using the Speed Soul to race ahead. Back to the fight, the Kraken Minosaur gains the upper hand against Melto and Asuna, but his rampage is stopped by the arrival of Ko and the brothers, who all morph and take the fight to the monster. Toa's usual battle tactics are thwarted by the monster's hard shell, so he and Ko instead decide to focus on the Drun soldiers, making it into, you guessed it, another contest, to see who can take down the most mooks. The two utilize very different strategies, with Ko using the Tsuyo Soul to brute force his way through the soldiers, while Toa uses the Mobi Soul to stretch his way around and strike multiple monsters at once. The contest starts getting dicey once Toa tries to kill steal from Ko like a little shit, and things quickly devolve from there, which allows the Kraken Minosaur to escape. Ko and Toa chase after it, but in the next scene, the monster's running away was shown to be... Tenjo shows up and attacks, but he is intercepted by Banba, who fights him to a standstill in a really well choreographed showdown. Sadly, Tenjo ends this scuffle with his finisher, and although Banba was able to counter it with the Solid Soul, the Druidon still escaped. Ko and Toa demorph and immediately go at each other's throats because they have a collective half a brain cell to share, but thankfully Banba puts an end to their squabbling. Ko runs off to regroup with Melto and Asuna, who are checking on the victims of the Minosaur attack. Apparently, everyone who was hit by the monster's water guns, no really, has fallen into a deep slumber and can't wake up. Banba immediately jumps on the idea of finding the thing and killing the host, but then we cut to a nearby hospital, where it's revealed that the host is a child named Yuta, and everybody steps in to shut his plan down, even Toa. Ko reiterates his promise to help the brothers find the Kishiryu, and after showing everyone the map, the five split up to locate the temples. Asuna gets paired up with Banba, and he completely ignores their attempts to be friendly in favor of focusing on the mission. The two find a magnetic abnormality, meaning a possible Kishiryu location, but they're revealed to be in the middle of a parking lot. Whoops. Ko, Melto, and Tona have better luck in that they actually manage to find the temple, but the entrance is sealed shut, Jesus Christ, and neither the power of the Ryu Souls nor the brute strength of Tiramido is able to find them a way inside. Any possible further attempts are shut down by the return of the now giant Kraken Minosaur, whom Asuma and Banba confront, with the others joining them not long after. The Minosaur changes targets and aims for a passing plane, but is stopped by the arrival of Kishiryu. After a quick confrontation, Melto and Asuna summon their Zords, and together as Kishiryu 3 Knights, they try to fight off the Minosaur. Unfortunately, the mech is mostly melee-based, and the monster they are fighting is using fast reloading blasters, so they're placed in a stalemate. Bomba, after observing the monster stopping mid-fight to tease the Rangers and get them back into playing with it, realizes that the host is not Yuta, but rather his father, and that the Minosaur was birthed from his desire to play with his son. Bomba decides to kill the father because he has no fucking chill, but is stopped by Toa, who comes up with a plan alongside Ko. Since the monster behaves like a child, they decide to treat it like a child. First by beating it in rock, paper, scissors, and then having it chase them back to the temple in a mech-sized game of tag. Ko tricks the monster into shooting them, and then rolls away at the last minute, allowing the temple to be blown away, and the fourth sword, the green saber-toothed tiger-themed Kishiryu Tiger Lance, to come out of hiding and join the fight. After an impressive display of speed by the big cat, including a segment where Tiger Lance does a Matrix-style dodge from all of the blasts, and trust me, you ain't seen nothing until you've seen a massive CGI Tiger Zord or do a Matrix roll. It's fucking lit. Anyway, Toa has it combine with the main mech to form Kishiryu Tiger Lance. The preceding fight was awesome, very fast-paced and beautifully choreographed, with the new combination being able to easily dodge past the monster's blast before striking it down, ending the battle. As Yuta's father regains his strength and wakes up, Bomba tells him to make time for his son, because family is more important than all else. The last two scenes of the episode would start with Bomba finding his own Kishiryu, the Miragaya-themed Mill Needle, and then bookends the episode by conversing with Toa, expressing his own shock that the brothers are now at odds over killing the hosts. Toa says it's because the other Ryu soldiers have grown on him, and the final scene of the episode shows said trio eating curry with Ui, which would be fine and dandy if the pot wasn't on Naohisa's research papers. This episode is very much a mixed bag. While I do enjoy seeing in the main three and the brothers interact more, I didn't like that it was so childish. And yes, I know, it's a kid show! Oh, but that doesn't excuse everyone, or rather Ko and Toa, who are the focus this episode, for being utter idiots. That's treating it all like a game. People are fucking dying, man. But anyways, I still enjoyed the fight scenes. I still enjoyed the character growth, even if it was muddled again, and by Ko and Toa being childish doofs. But hopefully, things will get better in episode 5, the last episode for this batch. Episode 5 starts, after the opening, with Bomba using the Answer Soul on Ui to find out when and how the Gordon Minosaur from Episode 3 was created. The answer comes in a flashback that shows Kurion attacking Ui, the memory being so horrific that, even while unconscious, she sheds a tear. This confirms that the Druidon are forcibly creating the Minosaur. As opposed to what exactly? Them just appearing out of thin air? Anyway. The team sans Toa decide that the best course of action is to track down and destroy Kurion before any more Minosaurs can be created. Speaking of Toa, we head over to him playing with a dog named Hope, and conversing with her owner, a woman named Sanai. The two chat about her struggle to find a permanent home for the puppy, and how she was abandoned because black dogs are too boring to post on social media. Okay? All the while, Toa is having flashbacks to the disputes he's had with his brother over their modus operandi of killing Minosaur hosts. Speaking of, Bomba shows up and tells Toa about the discovery surrounding Kurion, and their plan to hunt him down. Right on cue, Kurion shows up seemingly by himself and starts attacking the city. Toa suggests calling on the others, but Bomba says there's no need and proceeds to morph and take the fight to the mushroom monster. I fucking love this fight. Bomba just jumps in with the oo-wop and completely floors Kurion and all the drone soldiers. It is beautiful. Even Toa gets to have some fun playing cleanup crew with any mooks that weren't immediately killed by his brother. Just, mwah, excelente. Kurion tries to escape, but the brothers corner him. Backup arrives in the form of Tenjo, but even he can't stop the brothers, who use the speed and solid souls to utterly overwhelm him. When Tenjo tries to get some offense going, he is interrupted by our main trio, who are already powered up. Together, the 5 blades of justice completely mollywop Tenjo, until he pulls some bullshit move out of his ass and demorphs them all. Toa refuses to stay down and immediately jumps back into the fight, managing to hold his own against the commander until, again, Tenjo pulls a move we never saw before out and depowers him. Toa and Bamba gain their second wind and prepare to join the fight, but before they can morph, Kurion sits the Cerberus Minosaur on the brothers, biting Toa. With this, the Druidon decide to flee. Toa demorphs and Melto chastises him for letting his emotions drive his actions. Dude, I hate hot-headed Reds just as much as the next guy, but Toa's emotions almost beat Tank Joe. Anyway, Toa explains that he acted on instinct specifically because Tank Joe reminded him of his greatest failure, of how he was the reason Master Red died, and he saw nothing but anger after that. After a short scene of Kurion treating the Cerberus Minosaur like an actual dog, complete with trying to teach it how to shake, we cut back to the park, where it's revealed that Sanai is the victim of the week. Bamba continues to have no fucking chill and moves in to kill her, but Toa steps in briefly before collapsing from the bite's poison coursing through his veins. We then jump over to the Tatsui household, where both Toa and Sanai are resting. After explaining that the emotion that caused the Minosaur's birth, Toa shrugs off the pain and pleads with Bamba to give up on this senseless killing idea, saying that he understands where the Ryu soldiers are coming from, and that even sacrificing one person to save the masses will still affect their families and others who care about them. Bamba ignores all of this and walks off, with Toa following him. The next scene, Bamba asks Toa about Master Red, and when Toa talks of Red's kindness, Bamba retorts by saying kindness breeds weakness and costs lives. That's some hardcore edge there, buddy. He then uses the Vision Soul to locate the Cerberus Minosaur rampaging through town and runs off to confront it, with the main trio following behind. When they get to the location, the monster is nowhere to be found, but thankfully, Bamba is able to use the Smell Soul to pick up traces of the poison scent and runs off to find it. Before our main trio can follow him, Tenjo shows up in giant form and attacks them. We then cut to a water purification plant, where Kurion has led the Cerberus Minosaur in a devious ploy to poison the city's water supply and slowly kill all the humans, making them easier prey to hunt down and breed more Minosaurs with.
That's Disney evil.
Before this plan can be executed, Bamba shows up and uses the Mobi Soul to pull the monster away. Back at the main fight, the Ryu soldiers summon their mecha and engage Tank Joe. They're able to hold their own at close range, but the tables turn once Tank Joe starts pushing them back with his cannons. Turning over to the water plant, Bamba defeats the Cerberus monster, making this the first time that a Minosaur has been beaten without growing giant. At the main fight, Tank Joe has Kishiryu 3 knights on the ropes, and is about to finish them off, when he suddenly gets bombarded with needle-like projectiles that marks the debut of the 5th Kishiryu, Mill Needle. Bamba lends the strength of his Zord to the team, and together they form the perfect blend of offense and defense, Kishiryu Mill Needle. This fight is cathartic as fuck, with Bamba taking full charge of the situation and not giving Tank Joe an inch, countering all of his moves before seemingly defeating him with the Needle Crusher!
That was totally wicked!
That night, Kurion curses Tank Joe's name, seeing him as all bark and no bite, but quickly changes his tune when it's revealed that the mighty commander is still alive. The final shot of the episode is back at the Tatsui household, with now Hisa collecting a sample of Toa's poisoned DNA to send off for investigation. The Ryu soldiers expressed confusion over why, if the Minosaur was defeated, neither Toa nor Sanai have recovered. Toa tries to comfort Sanai, but gets hurt so badly by the poison that he passes out, ending the episode. So after 2 not-so-great episodes, I am fully down with this one. I loved the fights, I loved the character interaction, and I loved basically everything about it. My one complaint was Melto being a prick, and also Bamba continuing to be a stone-cold killer, but all of that can be forgiven, and simply because of how efficient he was in that mech fight. Just mwah! And the fight against the Much, just mwah! Oh, so good. So good. Bamba was the MVP, no doubt about it. And with that, we come to the end of my first look at Ryu Soldier. I gotta say it's a mixed bag. on the one hand, the fight scenes are phenomenal. I have not seen a single fight that made me look at it and go, yeah, that was bad. On the other hand, I have seen some dialogue exchange that has made me look at it and go, yeah, that was bad. That mainly the initial interactions between Ko and Toa, and also whenever Ko is being too stupid for his own good, which, God almighty, is it really so hard to ask that we stop getting idiot reds? I'm begging you, Toei. I don't know what kind of Red Ranger pull you guys have, but please ignore it. Please. Speaking as an adamant Sentai fan, the last good idiot red you had was Sosuke, and that's because he was in a comedy season. Raito was also in a comedy season, but he also had his moments of seriousness. Just please, give me better characters. That's all I ask. Give me better characters and a more concise story. Hey, like I said earlier, my one big problem with the debut of the match was that they debuted 3 Knights first and then Kishiryu. If they had switched that, I'd have no issue. Oh, and in regards to the other characters, so far the tier is Melto's at the very bottom with Banba at the 4th place. Asuna at 3rd, Toa at 3rd. Shit. Even then, there are moments where I like Ko, which is why I was about to put him at number 1. But that just goes to show you, if you just tone down the stupidity, you'd have a really good red. As for Ui, apparently people don't like her. I don't get why. She seems reasonable enough of a character to me. And I'm hoping we can get some more stuff out of Naohisa. The opening implies that he has something to do with the Minosaurs, so I'd like to see where that goes. And like I said, with the whole Tanjo pulled something out of his ass. I hope they don't do that again. And we saw Tanjo's main power set, so if you give us a power set, don't pull shit out and be like, haha, you can't actually beat him. No, just let him die. Let him die and write in the new villain. Christ almighty. But anyways, even with all those complaints, it's still better than Lupad. Now, with all that being said, that is it for my binge watch session. I want to thank you all for watching, and look forward to the next time when we take a look at the first 4 episodes of the Netflix Ultraman series. In the meantime, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, both to this channel and to my main channel, which I should be gaining access to again and be able to upload at the end of this month. So, yeah! Just a few more weeks. I'm so excited. Anyways, go back and watch my other binge watch videos. Check out my Let's Plays. After this video goes up, the Let's Play for Shaq Fu will be up, as well as more Stardew Valley, and also the result of the poll. So, depending on what you guys voted on, I will either be uploading videos for Dust Elysian Tale, or Undertale, or nothing. There's also plenty more live streams coming down the pipeline, so check those out too when they get up on the airwaves. And like I said before, also look forward to my unboxing of the Ryu Soul Changer once I actually get around to buying it. And check out the Ultraman review when that goes up. So until then, I am Blake, and I really appreciate you guys watching this stuff, so yeah!